Hello, my name is Angela King, and I'm the Assistant Director of the Virginia Coastal Policy Center at William & Mary Law School. The following slides will provide information regarding the Resilience Adaptation Feasibility Tool, and more specifically, how the RAFT scorecard was created and how it is utilized during the RAFT process. As background, the RAFT was developed and is managed by an academic collaborative which includes the Institute for Engagement and Negotiation at the University of Virginia, the Virginia Coastal Policy Center at William & Mary Law School, and the Virginia Sea Grant Climate Adaptation and Resilience Program at Old Dominion University. And the 3 steps of the RAFT process include utilizing the RAFT scorecard to conduct a resilience assessment, holding a community workshop to develop a resilience action checklist and identify a locality implementation team, and providing ongoing implementation assistance for 1 year. Now let's focus on the scorecard. To develop the scorecard, graduate planning students at the University of Virginia researched and compared existing scorecards and assessment tools. Rather than recreate the wheel, the RAFT team wanted to utilize existing information and build on what has already been accomplished in other areas. In addition to reviewing existing documents, the students also interviewed the developers and users of the tools to gather feedback and lessons learned. The RAFT team was also assisted by an advisory committee and 2 focus groups to determine the exact structure and content of the scorecard. The advisory committee included professors from UVA, ODU, Virginia Tech, William & Mary, the Virginia Institute of Marine Science, and Louisiana State. The first focus group was composed of representatives of coastal local governments, nonprofit organizations, and relevant state agencies to ground truth the scorecard and determine how to make it more relevant to Virginia's coastal communities. And the second focus group was composed of nonprofit, academic, and community representatives to review the scorecard for its sufficiency in addressing social equity concerns. Based on this feedback, 5 broad categories were developed that include environmental, economic, and social factors. The first category, policy, leadership, and collaboration, looks at policies and ordinances in place for coastal resilience, the coordination and collaboration between various levels of government, and how accessible and open data is to the public. The second category, risk assessment and emergency management, examines how well a locality has conducted risk assessments, identified vulnerable populations, and developed plans for disaster preparedness. The third category, infrastructure resilience, addresses critical infrastructure such as transportation, emergency services, and water supply, and assesses how well the locality has identified methods and plans for protecting this critical infrastructure. The fourth category, planning for resilience, covers land use, planning, and incentives. In this category, we assess how items such as the comprehensive plan address resilience, and consider how a locality uses incentives to promote resilience. The fifth category, community engagement, health, and well-being, assesses how well the community engages with residents in planning efforts, how a community supports and empowers residents to provide leadership, and also considers social equity by examining aspects of the locality's attention to issues of health and wellness during and after coastal events. Each of the 5 categories includes 5 sections, and generally speaking, each section has a total of 4 possible points. I say generally because if there is a scoring metric that does not apply to the locality, the scorecard will indicate not applicable. For example, if the locality does not have any flood zones, a scoring metric regarding whether or not the floodplain management ordinance has been updated in the past 5 years would not be applicable. So rather than give the locality a 0 out of 1 for that item, the RAFT team will indicate NA for that scoring metric and calculate the score percentage based on the total number of applicable scoring metrics. Throughout the scorecard, you may see the following icons. These icons have been placed next to scoring metrics which relate to the icon's topic. For example, CRS means that action to improve that metric may result in CRS credit. Dollar signs mean that action to improve that metric supports economic resilience. A plant means that action to improve that metric supports environmental resilience. And the circle of people means that action to improve that metric supports engagement with vulnerable populations. As noted previously, each of the 5 categories has 5 sections, and generally each section includes 4 potential points. Here is an example of what each section looks like. There is a general heading of the section. This one is section 2.4, Hazard Mitigation. Below the heading, there is a general explanation of what the section's topic is and how it relates to resilience. The table for each section includes 4 columns. The first column, labeled Points, will include a 0 if no point was awarded, 1 if the point was awarded, and possibly NA if the section is not applicable to the locality. The second column may include an icon to indicate the scoring metric's relationship to a certain topic. For example, the 4th scoring metric relates to vulnerable populations. The third column, labeled Scoring Metric, explains what item or action is considered for that metric. And the 4th column, Notes, will provide further explanation regarding why the point was or was not awarded, including the source of the information. To do the assessment, law students from William & Mary Law School conduct an independent review of what the locality is currently doing with respect to various elements of resilience, first via online research and then via telephone calls or meetings with locality staff to ground truth what they have found and fill in any remaining gaps. Once you have the score, you may wonder what exactly it means. The scorecard generally identifies 3 scoring ranges listed here. For example, if the locality receives a score of 55%, it would be considered moderately resilient, meaning that the locality is actively involved in resilience planning and has achieved some success. However, there are still opportunities to strengthen its resilience. We invite you to check out the RAFT website, where you can learn more about the project, the localities we have worked with in the pilot phase and on the Eastern Shore, and the implementation products that we have created. We hope that you have found this information helpful. Please feel free to contact a member of the RAFT team listed here if you have any questions.